I got a request to do some drop-down menus. So right now, I got started ahead of time. I got a little menu bar going. So first thing I need is a rectangle tool. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw a box underneath media. Okay, that's pretty easy. I'm going to name that box drop down. Why? Which that's not drop down, is it? Drop down. And why? Because that's going to hold our drop down. So it's named drop down. Now I'm going to grab the text tool and I'm going to click in here and I'm going to put my first menu item, which would be photos. And because I'm massively lazy, we can kind of roll with that. I'm going to hold my option key, click and drag. And I'm going to create a total of 3 options. I'm going to kind of eyeball it here. I'm just going to grab this and drag this down just a teeny bit. There we go. Kind of get it just lined up a little bit better. And there we go. So the first one, photos. That's easy. We'll just change this to photos. And leave it photos. Then the second one will be videos. And I'll change the text on it by double clicking videos. Okay, got videos. Excellent. Then the one underneath that we'll change it to writing. Okay, got that. And we'll change this over here to writing as well. Close that first. And we'll just change that to writing. Alright, so each one of them has a name. I'm going to move them a little bit closer. I think they look too far away. And then I'm going to do a couple of little sight things. So we'll click 1, 2, 3. And I can use my arrow keys and the shift key so I can bring them all up. There we go. Now there's a hierarchy. When you look at something, if it's bigger, bolder, whatever, you think it's more important. We're going to make these just a little bit smaller, about 18 pixels, which would indicate that they are not quite as important as those. They're a sub menu, and I think I'll just bring this box up a little. There you go. All right. So the next thing we need to do is come over here to the Elements panel. And we're going to grab the text name photos, hold the shift key, videos, and writing, and drag them right on top of drop down. Now they're all one group. So now we need to when we start this out, we don't want this hanging, just hanging there. So we're going to do a little code magic and make this work. So window, code. And we'll go across from the stage, plus sign, composition ready. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to talk to Edge, SYM $, open parentheses, double quotes, close parentheses, dot. And then we want to do some CSS, open parentheses, open curly brace, double quotes, colon. Another set of double quotes, close the curly brace, close the parentheses, semicolon. What a mouthful. So the first question we have to ask ourselves, what are we trying to affect? Well, we're trying to affect this thing here called the drop down. So we'll call drop down. And what are we trying to do? Well, we want to affect the display, or how we see it, display. And what we want is that you can't see it, none. And if we go test it, command return, you can't see it, so we were successful. Okay, good. Now, before we get any further with this, before we do any more code, we want to add a script over here, but we have to go get it. So we're going to pop over to Safari, and I already have jQuery.com open. Going to push the big button. Going to scroll down to the CDN. And we're not using the script. We're just going to take this part of the script from code to JS, copy it, come back here, plus sign, from URL, paste, and OK. And now it's time for a little extended coding on how to make this drop down flow smoothly. Start with clicking on media. When we click on the media, what we wanted to do when the mouse enters is make the drop down. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in SYM $, open parentheses, open double quotes, close parentheses, dot. And we're going to use one of the functions built into the script that we added, slide down with a capital D, open parentheses, close parentheses. There you go. So what do we want to slide down? We want the drop down to slide down. So drop down, spelled drop down, and let's go test it. There you go. That's the down. Of course, if we made this when mouse leaves a slide up, we'd never be able to click these buttons down here. So we need to continue on. The question is, what do we want to mouse out of that makes this media or this drop down go up? Well, it's going to be the drop down itself. So I'm going to choose the drop down and mouse leave, and then SYM $, open parentheses, open double quotes, close parentheses, dot, slide up with a capital P, open parentheses, close parentheses. What are we trying to get slide up? Well, the drop down. Now when we do that, we roll over. Now if we go either direction, nothing happens. But if we leave the box, so it's a little bit better slide down. But what happens if we're just rolling over things? So now we have to consider. Let's click our home button. And when the mouse enters the home button, we want to make sure that our menu, if it's down, goes up. So we will go SYM $, open parentheses, double quotes, open, double quotes, close, parentheses, dot, slide up with capital U, close, open and close parentheses. Of course, it's the drop down. And I'm just going to copy that line of code. Laziness wins out. And I'm going to do the same thing for contact when the mouse enters. We'll paste this in and let's test it. So here we go. We've rolled over the mouse, but if we decide, oh, I want to go to the contact, home, drop down. So it's a little bit smoother. Occasionally you get the bouncy, but it's a little bit smoother and probably make you more happy. So let's click on home, make sure we get the right cursor, and we'll do the same with contact, cursor, and I believe media's already got it. Yep. And that's the little slightly more convoluted way of making a drop-down menu. We're done. Go home.